Sunrise, sunset, beginnings, endings, and in-between moments. Overall goals. I intend to develop a series of short games, films, and stills exploring various intimate topics, ranging from friendship to contemplation of the quiet moments in our daily lives. I want these individual projects to serve as a series of vignettes focusing on these central themes, and to serve also as a means of sharing with others the tools and techniques I employ in my work. The Adobe Suite is essential to my workflow, and I will be using it primarily in conjunction with the Unity 3D game engine and several modeling softwares. From concept to design to model texturing, Photoshop forms the core of my work, with other software such as Illustrator, Premiere, After Effects, and the newly acquired Mixamo.com serving as complementary tools in my workflow. A major goal for the project is to share not only my work and workflow, but to show others how accessible these tools are now. I intend to stream constantly on Twitch TV in addition to more commonly used social media such as Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, etc. Twitch presents a unique opportunity though to engage in an audience in real time, as I have been doing so with my development work on No Mercy, which you can find on my Twitch channel. Content. Sunrise Sunset is a series of vignettes exploring issues of intimacy, friendship, and in-between moments. Many of these will exist primarily as games, but it is really important to also explore them as both short films and stills within each project. It is very important to me that I am able to share this work with a large audience, which means being able to break up projects into smaller elements or sub-projects to work on, so as to not require the audience to have seen any prior work. This project seeks to discuss both societal issues of the day as well as more personal, intimate subjects that many audience members can relate to. Valley of Bots. One such project will involve the creation of a short game in which the player takes the role of a young girl who spends a summer in the valley south of home. Wanting to get away from everything, the aggression, the pressure, the issues at home, she sets out to find her own way. While in the end she returns home, she makes a new friend along the way and discovers what it means to make friends and to stand up for them in the face of adversity. What this means in practice is that the player will control her throughout her journey, exploring, climbing, and interacting with her unexpected companion, a broken down mech from a previous age. Fears of robots replacing people's jobs, of taking over, or just of being odd, have created an atmosphere of hate around these poor robots. Many have sought out refuge in the Valley of Bots. The valley is known as a dangerous place, where bots of all kinds live, fight, and prey on humans. Is this truly the case? You find out through a series of encounters with not only robots, but the humans, including some of your classmates who come to harass them. The game draws parallels to issues of today, all the while exploring visual storytelling in a dynamic environment. The Waiting Game. A collaboration I have just begun that looks at the quiet moments in our lives, such as the in-between waiting moments that are forced upon us. These moments can easily become frustrating, stressful, or provide a moment of unexpected reflection. In any case, they say much about what we love, what we despise, and what we miss in our daily rush. The game itself is comprised of a series of short vignettes in various situations, from being stuck in rush hour traffic, a gamer chatting online before a game begins, to a group of cyberpunks before a heist coming to terms with their own mortality. Each of these moments are short, poetic, and help the audience question what's important to them. Non-player. A third-person game discussing the narratives we tell in our games. The player takes a role of several unlikely characters, an orc sentry, an undead skeleton, an alien, to name a few. Throughout the game, the player inhabits one of these characters, attempts to live their lives before shortly being attacked by what would appear to be a band of adventurers. The atmosphere is always different, but the story is always the same. An indigenous character tries to live their life but is overrun by invaders from another land. Non-player looks at our tendency to alienate and justify the conquest of native people in our games, hiding them under the guise of orc, alien, or non-human. While done in a stylized, playful style, the game brings up some deep questions. Sources of inspiration. Here we have a number of visual inspirations from me. The left two most images are by Ian McHugh, a fantastic 2D artist whose work never ceases to spark ideas for me. In particular, I'm drawing from his depictions of people with their robots or mechs in quiet moments. The man reading his newspaper on the porch of the robot, almost seeming to be camping or enjoying a morning cup of coffee. This recontextualization of something usually so violent into a more mundane scene is something I really enjoy and want to explore more in my work. I also have these other images of pilots with their mechs. Overall, it's a common sci-fi trope I think has so much potential for depicting intimacy and friendship. The following images are an eclectic mix that capture the same central themes of mundanity and quiet reflection that I also want to explore in my own work, as well as a stylized yet realistic aesthetic. Related projects. Hive World, Neon Challenge submission. This project was created for Unity 3D's Neon Challenge, which tasked artists to create a short film around an environment, using assets from the asset store, our own personal work, and to combine them in a compelling, short, environment-based narrative. As one of my most recent works, it demonstrates a base level of production quality one might expect from my work. While I had very limited time with which to develop this project, I am quite happy with the results. It is also an example of how I can create short films in addition to interactive pieces and stills using the same fundamental tools, that is, the Adobe Suite and Unity 3D. No Frontier, a split-screen game discussing frontier fantasies and the portrayal of colonialism in games. I've included this project because of the way it deals with such heavy topics in an approachable, visually engaging way. This is No Mercy. I have No Mercy here as an example of high-resolution, physically based rendering that would not have been possible without the Adobe Suite. It's a fun, fast, and silly game about gnomes, and was one in which I was able to mix stylized design choices with realistic rendering techniques. And plus, who doesn't enjoy some good gnome puns? Timeline. And now we come to the dreaded logistical questions of the project. I have learned throughout my past work how important realistic deadlines are, and so I have outlined a schedule that maintains a brisk but maintainable pace. In each 4-month section, I will iterate soon and iterate often on my projects, receiving feedback and steering course throughout. Though I understand timelines nearly never remain intact, this gives me a solid base on which to plan my work. A key component of this project is to show people that these technologies are much more accessible than they might first think. As such, I've established a bare-bones budget for my project. My work requires very little overhead, and this is something I want people to see, that with very little money, they can create fantastic projects with the Adobe Suite. I have requested $500 towards buying assets such as textures, soundbites, etc., which will be then distributed amongst my projects as needed. For the Wacom tablet, I'm currently working on an ancient Wacom bamboo tablet, and would like to request something more professional. The range of prices indicates that I'm absolutely flexible on what this actually entails. Thank you so much for your time. Please feel free to let me know if you have any additional questions. I can't really express just how excited I am at this opportunity, but hopefully this video comes close to doing just that.